Strange things are happening in the world that seem to break the laws of nature. Mystical signs, mysterious finds on beaches, glowing objects, and UFOs crashing into the ocean. This video is a compilation of the most unexplainable events captured on camera around the world. A group of friends was heading out for lunch when they noticed a small bird sitting on their car. The strange part was that it was making unusual sounds, as if it were trying to deliver a message in a bizarre language that was half human and half bird. They were stunned and started recording, and soon the little bird even began imitating one of the girls. Later, when they finally drove away, something unpleasant happened to them on the road. They were robbed. After that, no one doubted that the bird had been warning them about possible danger and cautioning them against the trip. And do you believe in messages like that? In the year 2023, in Brazil, a man was filming the gloomy weather in Salvador when something strange happened. Low, growling sounds suddenly spread across the sky, as if something were roaring high up among the clouds. They were so creepy, as though they were coming straight from hell. A few days later, residents of New Jersey reported strange, booming sounds coming from their radios. It is hard to believe in incidents like this, but the fact is that they happen all over the world. This leads many people to think that something alarming is approaching us. Perhaps we do not have long to wait until the end of the world. This video is proof for those who do not believe in the approaching end of the world. It was posted by a group of fishermen who caught a large fish off the coast of the Indian state of Tamil Nadu. The creature really looked like an oarfish, or ribbonfish, which usually lives in deep water regions. However, in recent years, they have begun appearing in shallow waters in different parts of the world, which has made local residents believe that something apocalyptic is approaching. Old-timers call the oarfish the doomsday fish. According to Asian folklore, the appearance of this rare deep-sea creature on the surface of the ocean is a bad sign. Environmental experts claim that it is not about mysticism, but about the poor condition of the ocean environment. Something is forcing these creatures to leave their habitat. Among the many unusual sky phenomena captured on camera, this story from Palestine stands out especially. A man stepped outside on a cloudy day when his attention was drawn to a rounded formation in the sky, resembling a smoke ring shape, and it was moving through the air quite quickly. Local residents were amazed by the sight and began filming it. When the recording appeared online, some viewers considered the ring an ordinary cloud formation or exhaust from an explosion, while others linked it to the coming of Jesus Christ as a sign that he was going to help the suffering people in Palestine. But I would like to know your opinion about this. And now we will be convinced that some messages do not need interpretation. They are stated clearer than clear. On a sunny day in a small town in the state of Texas, people went outside to enjoy the clean blue sky. Suddenly, someone pointed upward, and it turned out that a mysterious inscription was hanging over the town. White letters were clearly visible right in the clouds. "Find the truth." Those words hung in the middle of the clear sky, bright and sharp, as if written by an invisible hand. People, of course, pulled out their phones and started filming the inscription. Someone joked that it was another advertising stunt by some bank or company, and someone else felt a mystical chill. A few minutes later, the message disappeared by itself, as if it dissolved, but people were still wondering what truth they needed to find and who wrote those letters. Aliens or God? In the city of Makassar in Indonesia, a man was heading to his car to go to work, but his steps stopped when he saw this. Rain was falling only on his car, and the rest of the area was completely dry. It seemed that nature had shown mercy only to his car, since in some cultures, rain is considered a blessing. Surprised, he captured this moment on video and waited until the rain stopped. When he got home, he showed the video to his father, who was a meteorologist, and he explained that he was lucky enough to observe a natural phenomenon called localized rain. On the 20th of December in the year 2021, a strange weather phenomenon was filmed by a woman in Nova Scotia, in Halifax. She was getting ready to go to work and looked outside. She saw that it was raining and went back into the house for an umbrella. But when she glanced into the backyard, she discovered that it was completely covered in snow. Amazed, she recorded the paradox on video and shared the footage online. Naturally, some viewers assumed it was a hoax, where two videos were combined into one to mislead people and attract views. But do not rush to accuse the author of the video. The rare weather phenomenon was assessed by experts as ultra-local rain, in which precipitation is concentrated on a very small area, literally on a tiny patch, leaving the surrounding area untouched. This incredible moment was captured by a man on Ocean Drive in Miami, Florida. The whole sky was covered with clouds, but it looked almost unreal. One part of it was orange, and the other was dark gray, with a clear boundary in the middle. This rare phenomenon is called a split sunset. It happens when the shadow from a large cloud below the horizon prevents sunlight from reaching the clouds that are closer to the observer on the ground. The gray side is the area where sunlight is blocked by the shadow of the distant cloud, while the bright side of the sky shows the typical colors of sunset. Five years ago, over the Chinese city of Jiang'an, a strange phenomenon appeared that amazed everyone. A gigantic mirage, resembling an aerial castle, formed high in the sky, as if a portal had opened there. The townspeople could look into another world. When this video began spreading online, some claimed it was made using computer graphics, while others insisted it was simply an optical illusion. What do you think? Is it deception of vision, or a parallel reality that nature decided to open to our eyes? A tourist captured this incredible moment in the Chinese province of Zhejiang. At first, the river was flowing calmly, when suddenly a strange pattern of waves appeared on the surface of the water. He curiously asked one of the locals, who said that in fact, the Qiantang River is known for its fish scales. Such a wave is called a tidal bore. It is notable because it lies across the current, forming powerful ridges. A natural phenomenon in which a tidal wave forms spiral-like waves creates a shocking optical illusion. From afar, the waves on the surface of the water look like shimmering fish scales. This largest tidal wave in the world is known as the Silver Dragon, and it comes annually. It forms in a narrow estuary due to the tide. A powerful wall of water during the Mid-Autumn Festival attracts thousands of tourists. In October, in the year 2025, while visiting the state of Karnataka in India, a tourist was shocked by the sight of hundreds of stones decorated with strange patterns. Shapes of various animals were carved on the stone boulders. Out of curiosity, he asked the guide, who told him about secret stones sacred to Hindus. They are called Shivalingams and serve as a symbol of worship of the Hindu god Shiva, embodying the divine creative force. The place where the tourist ended up is known precisely as Sahasralinga, a pilgrimage site. Thousands of such stones are scattered across the rocks along the banks of the Shalmala River here. It has been historically established that all these Shiva lingams were created during the reign of King Sadashivaraya, in the period from the year 1678 to the year 1718.
Yeah.
A group of friends decided to do some exploration and went to investigate the outskirts of a city in North America when they came across a strange patch of ground that moved like a waterbed. They walked on it. The earth shifted under them, as if water was trapped beneath the grass. One of them recorded a video and posted it online, asking what this phenomenon was. Viewers explained that this happens when a puddle of water accumulates under the surface of the grass, forming a loose and boggy mass. This often occurs after heavy rains or abundant irrigation and can happen on newly grown grass, as well as in places with poor drainage or compacted soil. Sometimes it may indicate an irrigation leak or plastic buried in the ground. A man in Japan was driving a car when he noticed that the sidewalk began to move. He stopped and captured this breathtaking moment. It looked as if the earth itself was breathing. The pavement slightly rose and then fell again. Astonished by what he saw, he watched what was happening for some time until the ground returned to normal, after which he quickly shared the video on Instagram. Now his followers are wondering what made the solid surface rhythmically rise and fall. And what will you say? Share with us in the comments. Around midnight, a surveillance camera captured an unusual incident in a cornfield in the American state of Illinois. In the center of the field, a perfect circle formed by itself. The plants simply lay down, and inside, there was emptiness. At that moment, there was no wind, so the circle on the ground could not be explained simply by weather conditions. And could wind create such a perfect shape? I think that is practically impossible. The next morning, when the farmer went to check his fields, he was stunned by what he saw. Then, he checked the surveillance camera recordings but did not find any signs that someone or something had created this pattern. Later, he heard reports of UFO sightings in the area and began to suspect that aliens could be responsible for the mysterious formation. I suppose that is the most acceptable explanation. Perhaps some kind of transport invisible to us landed here? Early in the morning in eastern Australia, an elderly couple from the town of Ipswich in Queensland was still sleeping peacefully at home when a neighbor rang the doorbell and reported that a huge sinkhole had formed in their yard. They went to check and saw that the hole in the ground was rapidly expanding, and it was already completely filled with water. They assumed that perhaps a drainage pipe was leaking, which caused the ground to collapse. A repair crew was called, and according to their assumption, the ground failure happened because a tunnel had been built under this area many years ago. Loggers were working in the Amazon forests, but they did not expect to see something astonishing. According to them, they were cutting a tree, and when the chainsaw drove into the trunk, water suddenly gushed out of it, with such force that it seemed as if they had opened a water tap. After some time, the flow stopped, and they were able to finish the work. Out of curiosity, the workers shared the video on Instagram, where one commenter suggested that it could be a rare type of tree capable of accumulating water in its trunk to survive dry weather. Whatever it was, it left the eyewitnesses completely bewildered. On the 28th of April, in the year 2023, in the capital of Kenya, Nairobi, a strange event occurred. A powerful earthquake shook part of the African continent. A wide crack appeared in the ground with a depth of about 15 meters and a width of about 20 meters. Scientists say this happened due to heavy rains and erosion of the soil layer. The crack was eventually filled with earth and traffic resumed. But scientists also warned that if such earthquakes continue, Africa may one day split into two separate continents. Was it a natural geological process or a warning from the Earth itself? Decide for yourself. A group of friends in Dubai went on a desert safari. There they came across a strange sight. Some unpleasant dark liquid was flowing through the sand. Out of curiosity, they came closer and, by the smell, realized it was real crude oil. It was seeping out of the ground and ran like a river, forming a large puddle. Later, the travelers reported it to the authorities and, without realizing it, became the initiators of the discovery of a new oil field in Dubai.
It's grub time!
2 years ago, one woman observed a strange moment on her bird farm. She came to scatter grain, and suddenly, something unusual happened. When she entered the cage, the quails first ran, and then suddenly froze in place like statues. She was amazed by what she saw and asked her husband about the strange behavior of the birds. He explained that birds sometimes become motionless to avoid the attention of predators and to conserve energy when they are tired or during times when they do not have enough food. A few months ago in Houston, Texas, a strange but rather funny case happened. A woman came back home and was shocked to see chicks wandering around her kitchen. At first, she did not understand where they came from. All the windows and doors in the house were locked. Then she noticed an egg tray and broken shells. Then she remembered that the eggs had been lying in the sun for a long time, and that July day was very hot. And what do you think? Is there some kind of mysticism here? In any case, better live chicks than spoiled products, right? Imagine that you spent millions of rubles on a luxury car, and one fine day, you discover that it's suddenly blistered. A similar incident occurred on the 8th of June in the year 2024 in China, where people saw their cars melting in the sun and the paint swelling into huge bubbles on the body. The strangest part was that it happened not to one car, but to hundreds. All of them were parked under direct sunlight. Was the cause extreme heat, or is it the result of negligence by car companies? Poor quality manufacturing? Has your car ever blistered? Share with us in the comments. Imagine waking up on an ordinary day and discovering that your whole house is covered with insects. Such a case happened in Russia, in the resort city of Sochi. A woman woke up early in the morning and was shocked to see that everything inside the house was literally plastered with insects. They covered the curtains, the furniture, all objects in a thick layer, and what was even worse was their smell, which they used to protect themselves from predators and chemicals. Later, the woman called a pest control service, and a crew arrived to rid her house of the insects. In my opinion, a perfectly fitting plot for a thriller, do you not think? A group of botany students was working on studying rare plants found in different corners of the earth. One day they went to explore an ancient forest in the Chinese province of Yunnan and came across a tiny, unusual plant that looked like a microphone sticking out of a pile of fallen leaves. It looked like white crystals, and the most interesting thing about it was that this plant, as it turned out, does not produce its own food through photosynthesis from sunlight, but is parasitic. It survives by taking energy from the tree it is attached to. The students documented the find and included it in their thesis, classifying it as a ghost plant. Its botanical name is the one-flowered wintergreen, a rare parasitic plant lacking chlorophyll, which is why it is colorless, just like a ghost. A marine biologist studying sea life in the depths of the Atlantic Ocean noticed that a strange floating creature was heading toward him. It had tentacles, like a jellyfish. But the most remarkable thing was that it glowed in all the colors of the rainbow, a mix of bright red, blue, and green, as if it were an illumination, not a living creature. Even though the man was a marine biologist, he had never seen anything like it before. When he returned, he asked more experienced colleagues about it, and they determined that he had encountered a crystal jellyfish. It is famous for the fact that the fluorescent protein discovered inside it revolutionized biology, allowing scientists to track molecular processes in living cells. These jellyfish create their own glow as a defense mechanism against predators or to attract prey, as well as for communication. The chemical component of their glow is known as luciferin. I would even give this jellyfish a non-scientific name, an underwater disco. On the 29th of August in the year 2022, a man was walking his dog on a beach in California when he saw a scattering of thousands of strange objects on the shore. shell fragments and remnants of marine fossils had been thrown onto the beach. He was stunned by what he saw and filmed it. Later, a group of people collected some of the objects, examined them, and someone determined that most of them were so-called barnacles. Their calcareous shells with a striped pattern resemble miniature volcanoes. Perhaps they were torn off the rocks by a sea storm or strong waves. A few months ago, people were relaxing on Diani Beach in Kenya when a strange object washed ashore. A giant cylindrical black mass was completely covered with tires. Witnesses began filming it. The most intrigued of them shared the recording on social media and asked viewers to guess what it was. None of those present had ever seen anything like it before. One commenter determined that they were looking at an air-filled marine fender known as a Yokohama fender, apparently named after a famous tire brand. These structures protect ships from collisions with the pier during storms and wind. So there is nothing supernatural in them, just an unusual construction. This happened in China on the 16th of February, in the year 2025. The evening seemed normal until strange glowing objects suddenly flared up in the sky. Panic began. People fled, but some stayed to film this moment. Otherwise, no one would have believed that something like this could happen. Later, experts said in the news that these objects were falling meteorites. I think no one would want to meet them on the ground. Early in the morning in Colombia, a man witnessed a strange phenomenon in the sky. He wanted to film the mountains at dawn when suddenly a bright light appeared from beyond the horizon and began to drift across the sky like a jellyfish. The object shimmered blue, orange, and other luminescent colors and formed spiral patterns. Although the author of the video was a professional photographer, even he was stunned because he had never filmed phenomena like this. Later, he shared the video on Instagram to ask the viewers' opinion, but they were also bewildered. Have you ever encountered this phenomenon? Just a year ago, a man was driving through a forest in Siberia, and his attention was caught by a strange object on a snowy field. The sphere seemed to have fallen from the sky and landed some distance away from him. He drove a little further, stopped the car, and began filming the ball, which glowed pink, orange, and gray. The video went viral on TikTok and sparked many theories that it could be a UFO, but no official explanation ever appeared. What do you think it is? A few months ago in Saudi Arabia, an unusual phenomenon occurred. Pilgrims were performing religious rituals when a bright glowing object suddenly appeared above the mosque. At first, it looked like a luminous ball that moved smoothly along the ground direction, which shocked many witnesses. The object continued descending, but then suddenly disappeared. People everywhere pointed at the sky. Some filmed what was happening on their phones. They were puzzled. It was unclear whether they had witnessed a natural phenomenon or something far more alarming. Later, local authorities published a statement explaining that the mysterious light was actually the result of a missile interception. Perhaps you have seen many clips of UFO sightings, but the one we will show now truly stands out from all the others. A fisherman was filming reconnaissance planes flying over the Atlantic Ocean and accidentally captured two strange shapeless objects. They hovered in the sky and then suddenly disappeared. Only by the splash of the waves do we understand that they dove into the ocean. What makes this video even more mysterious is that the planes were chasing them. But before they could get close, the objects dove into the ocean and never surfaced again. Online, debates began about whether these could have been UFOs. But UFOs are supposed to fly in the sky. How could they also move so freely on the water? Were these some kind of advanced amphibious aircraft, or something even more frightening? No one knows the answer. A man was exploring a desert in Saudi Arabia, and he managed to discover something atypical there. hidden under the sand. He brushed away a layer of sand with his hand and, to his surprise, found snow beneath it. Impressed by the phenomenon, he recorded a video as a keepsake and asked local residents about it. They explained that this happens rarely when a snowstorm is followed by a sandstorm that brings sand from arid regions. It covers the snow, and we see something that looks like an ice cream bar, right? Two friends were skiing at the American mountain resort of Alta when they encountered a strange phenomenon. Tongues of flame were bursting prima out of the snow. Snow and fire together look unnatural, but they saw it with their own eyes and filmed it so that we would believe it was true. The friends tried to put out the flames by covering them with snow, but the fire did not die down. Later, when they reported it to the resort staff, they called the police and specialists, who discovered a natural gas deposit under the snow. Local residents discovered something truly strange on the Liaohe River in the Chinese province of Liaoning. It was a smooth circle of ice that formed on the frozen river. The most amazing part was that it slowly rotated all by itself, yet it was stable enough to support the weight of dozens of people standing on it. It felt as if it were a disc with a motor inside, not just a chunk of ice floating on the water. In the year 2020, a tourist visiting the island of Hailuoto in Finland noticed something strange on the beach. Instead of ordinary waves and sand, the entire shoreline was covered with thousands of round ice balls, looking like giant eggs or frozen spheres. Amazed by the scene, the tourist decided to film it. Later, experts explained that strong wind, waves, and low temperatures can roll pieces of ice, gradually giving them a spherical shape. But the result of the natural phenomenon truly looked like something from another planet. People around the world are discussing strange phenomena in the sky. In this footage, filmed by a surveillance camera in Western Australia, unusual particles can be seen floating in the air. They look like snow, but the results of analyzing samples of these particles turned out to be shocking. Dangerous chemical substances were found in them. Health experts claim that these unusual precipitations, in the form of fog or snowfall, are not normal and fall due to climate change and the gradual destruction of the ozone layer. Truly alarming, is it not? Scientists always strive to discover something outstanding, and here's an unusual phenomenon in that spirit that was captured over the Château de Bénouge Castle in France. On the 19th of October, in the year 2025, a scientist and astrophotographer observed in the sky a phenomenon known as red sprites. These strange flashes of red light that flicker in the sky for several seconds are a type of electrical discharge of cold plasma in the mesosphere and thermosphere, high above thunderstorm clouds. They are caused by powerful positive lightning discharges between the cloud and the ground, which create intense electric fields. These fields make atmospheric nitrogen and oxygen flare up in the sky and glow red and orange, almost like jellyfish. The candles, meaning the vertical columns of light and sprites, reach 20 kilometers in height. Can you imagine a column like that? This strange incident happened on the 22nd of May, in the year 2025, in California, in San Diego, on Murphy Canyon Road. People ran out of their homes after hearing a loud sound like an explosion or an impact. Almost everything was in disarray. A truck crashed into a house. As if it had fallen from the sky, glass shards were scattered everywhere. Trees were knocked down, and pieces of metal were strewn around. People called 911, and then reporters arrived. But all of them had to guess what happened. Many theories appeared. Someone said it could have been a UFO that made a hard landing, but the authorities did not confirm anything like that. But whatever it was, there was clearly a crash here. It frightened everyone and made viewers rack their brains over these frames. By the way, what do you know about this case? An unidentified celestial phenomenon was observed by a man who was flying from Moscow to Alaska. He looked out the window and suddenly saw the night sky light up with unusual movement. Glowing objects were near the plane in the sky, moving toward the Earth. They flashed and seemed to be traveling at a very high speed, but then suddenly disappeared, as if they had never been there. When he shared the video on social media, viewers' opinions were divided. Some believed it was a UFO, others thought it was just shooting stars. For some reason, no one mentioned comets or meteorites. And what would you say? One night, Navy servicemen were patrolling the sea not far from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, when they ran into something strange. They noticed suspicious glowing objects floating underwater. The objects were moving, and the water around them shimmered with very bright luminescent glow. They had never seen anything like it in the sea before. When the boat came closer, they still could not determine what the objects were. At first they took them for submarines, but after consulting their department, it turned out that at that moment there were no underwater objects in that area. So what were those spots? Some marine creature or something much more sinister? On the 2nd of June in the year 2025, a woman captured a strange moment, this time over Florida. She filmed a mysterious spherical object hovering in the sky, resembling the sun. She was stunned because it was already 7 o'clock in the evening. Sunset had passed, and the moon had also appeared in the sky, meaning the mysterious object could be neither the sun nor the moon. Maybe some other planet sent us its projection? One day, a Korean farmer was working in a field in his village called Ginkgo. But when he raised his eyes, he froze in place. 3 suns were shining brightly in the sky at once, and he thought he had overheated, or that he was imagining it. The glowing object formed a triangle. It is clearly visible in the video, so everyone became convinced that it was not just double vision. Other villagers also pointed at the sky. He was not the only one who saw 3 suns, but none of them understood what was happening up there. A strange video filmed in Philadelphia in the year 2015 shows a transparent object hovering in the sky. Everyone who saw this astonishing cloud claimed that something inside this amorphous structure was glowing or shimmering. It seemed to them that the object was purposefully moving toward a destination. It did look like a cloud, but the mystery was the glassy light inside it. The object moved slowly and completely separately. It was not a bank of clouds. Observers proposed many theories. Some said it was a plastic bag, but they could not explain how a plastic bag could glow in the sky. Others claimed it could be a disguised airplane or a UFO. Despite all the assumptions, the mystery of this cloud remains unsolved. Write in the comments which moment frightened or amazed you the most, and subscribe to Top Facts for the most incredible compilations of facts and videos from all over the internet. Thank you for watching, and right now click on one of our previous episodes.